This is Toon Talk Weekly, episode 208. This week, Brad and I talk all about cats and where their toys actually go when they disappear when we watch an episode of the series Counterfeit Cat.
There goes another one! Charles Anthony! Lost forever!
But he must be under the couch somewhere.
No, once a cat toy's gone under the sofa, you never get it back.
But things can't just disappear unless...
Oh! See you next week, boys!
It's completely clean. No dust, no cat toys, nothing.
What's the squiggly hair thing?
Oh, that's why. There's a rip in space-time under the sofa.
Oh, don't be so ridiculous.
Fire on!
The day just keeps getting better.
Where is that kid?
Hey everybody, it's Tuesday once again. That means it's time for another episode of the weekly cartoon podcast, Toon Talk Weekly. That is, of course, this show. I want to thank you once again for joining us this week to talk all about cartoons. And of course, happy 4th of July to everybody out there listening to the day the episode comes out. Of course, this will be weird in like 10 years when the show's still around. And you'll be like, when did that come out? Well, I just told you. So if you're in the States, happy 4th of July. I'm Jake Williams, not the only guy you're going to hear. That chuckle over there is Brad Chmielewski, my good buddy. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, I don't know how many people are listening on the day of. There's very few podcasts I think I even listen to on the day of. That's the joy of podcasts, right?
Yeah, they're kind of like around. You have a ton of subscriptions, and you can just kind of look at the bricks and say, like, which one do I want to listen to today?
Right. Yeah.
It's usually the best. It actually, sometimes it's worse when you watch them or listen to them the day they come out, because then suddenly, say it's like, our show comes out on Tuesdays. Suddenly it's Thursday, and you're like, man, I could listen to someone talk about cartoons. Crap, I already listened to their show.
Yeah.
Yeah, but our show, the cool thing is it kind of lasts. It's really not dated, guys. You can, anytime you want to hear us think about a show, you can pick up an old one.
Yeah, anytime.
But yeah, so happy 4th of July to everybody out there. Brad, how was your 4th of July weekend? It's weird being on like a Tuesday.
Yeah, it's been all right. Yeah, it's been a little just it's always the same. I don't know. The days are the same to me. So holidays are not.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tough.
It's just like sometimes I go see my family. That's it.
Yes. Sometimes I see different people. Sometimes I don't.
Yeah. I guess my parents just texted me the other day, and they just up and got a dog. They're like, yeah, we rescued a dog. So I guess that's what they did with the long weekend. So.
Oh my God, Jake got a dog, so we gotta get a dog.
Well, the cool part is we're going home for Christmas, and my folks have a bunch of cats too. And we were worried how the dog was going to be with the cats, and we're like, well, now they just got to get used to it. They got months to worry about that. Mm-hmm. So that should be good. But let's talk some cartoons this week. We decided to watch an episode of a show called Counterfeit Cat. This is a show that Brad found over on Hulu. I think probably one of the recommendations that got kicked to you after watching so many cartoons.
Yeah, I don't know what I was watching. I think I was watching because I'm still watching Star vs. the Forces of Evil.
That's right.
So that popped up on there.
And man, this show has just, even without knowing anything about it, has an amazing look to it. There's a weird, like, almost Steven Universe, Uncle Grandpa, Gumball-y type look and feel to the show. It's a lot of different things, but it's a little rough around the edges too, which makes it feel a little bit unique compared to those other ones.
Yeah,
I'm loving like the grandma characters, just these short and stout characters in this that are a lot of fun. Man,
yeah, there's a funny episode like that I watched. That wasn't this one that we're gonna talk about, but they just pictured all other humans as this grandma, and they're in their story that they're telling. And like, why does everyone look like, I forget what her name was.
Betty,
Betty. Like, why does everyone look like Betty? It's like, I like Betty.
That's his reasoning.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, there's definitely some whimsy to this show. It's really interesting. Let's talk a little bit about the background of Counterfeit Cat. It's a British-Canadian animated TV series, so I think us in the States would have never seen it had it not come to Hulu. Produced by Wildseed Kids for Teletoon and Disney XD. The characters are created by Andrew Lavery, and it was developed by Aardman Animations, Ben Marsad, and Christina Christina Fiumara. The series debuted on Disney XD in the UK on May 12th, 2016, so it's just over a year old now. And one total season, 52 total episodes, and as of May 2017, Sonar Entertainment is the company that has the rights to distribute the series, so that's probably a big reason why it's on Hulu. I'm sure it got passed over there at that point.
Maybe. I guess I was listening to, I want to say a Tech News Today or one of those recently, and they were talking about Hulu or Netflix going into Australia. I don't know if you listened to this episode.
Not this one, no.
So Australia and France and England and even Canada have rules where 20% of all the content there, like getting produced, needs to be made there.
Interesting.
And so Hulu and Netflix, when they come in, they have to follow this rule so that 20% of the content that's on the site for the people there has to be Australian or has to be French.
Interesting.
Content, because they actually have a problem. He was saying where like they have two cultures. They have French culture and then they have kind of American culture, because American culture gets consumed so much. We make so much content. We make movies, books, TV shows. So they have to have incentives for people to watch French shows and watch local things. Otherwise, it just all becomes the same. Where here in America, we don't have that problem. So there's no incentive for, like, the government's not paying people outside of maybe like PBS or public broadcasting stuff to make content. There, he said all that stuff's already greenlit. Shows are already fully paid for before they get made. Where shows here, they get tested, and if they fail, well, everyone lost money. They're already paid for, and they just get made.
And then they move on to the next project. Yeah.
Yeah.
We are quite. I mean, if we had our greatest export at this point, it's probably entertainment.
So that's why I think we're seeing more of these like Canadian and other countries' cartoons popping up on sites like Hulu and Netflix, because they have to be there. So Netflix is like, well, here, everyone can have it. Go ahead.
Right. And if they're exceptional, I mean, good. Break the barriers, like get out of your country so that we can actually see it too. You know, we want to see more stuff because we obviously see all the American stuff all the time. But that's really interesting. I guess I didn't realize it was ever a 20% or a percentage rule. I just always knew that different countries had different like lineups on Netflix or Hulu at different times, and that totally makes, you know, they got to do a shuffle every month when like new content leaves. They got to make sure they keep that balance too. Yeah, it's kind of cool. So, well, thanks. If that's what caused Counterfeit Cat to come our way, then we're not mad about it. So, the production of Counterfeit Cat, actually, initial development began in 2010, so 6 years before it actually came out. It gives you an idea of like how long it takes to make these shows. Ben Marsad, who is the director of the series, was a former storyboard artist on The Amazing World of Gumball, and he's the current director of Netflix's F is for Family. So he is working on some modern shows that we've definitely heard of and actually talked about here on this podcast already.
Right. I think you mean A is for family.
Yeah, A is for family. E is for effort. I don't know. Yeah. And animation services for the show were handled by Atomic Cartoons. They made Atomic Betty. We've seen Atomic Betty and Angry Birds Toons. They also do a show called Captain Flamingo and a show called Max and Ruby. So we haven't watched those for the show yet. No. And all the animation, Adobe Flash. Kind of not surprising at this point. Man, Flash seems like people still say Flash is dead, but for like an animation tool, it's still great. It's fine. Like a lot of people use it, but like, okay, Flash technology, maybe action script stuff isn't around anymore or needed.
Yeah, I think just Flash for the web, it got overused, but it's an animation software. It's not a web software anymore.
It was probably never really should have been at that point.
Right.
So the story of Counterfeit Cat, what can you expect going into this world? What is this world all about, the show? Here's a synopsis I pulled, right? So the series revolves around the adventures and friendship of Max, who is a lazy house cat, and Gark, which is an amazing name, an alien who disguises himself in a purple knitted cat costume to blend in. Gark.
Oh, he's an alien.
Yeah, he's an alien in a knit cat costume. That's why he's got weird tentacles out of his like cat mouth.
Oh, I didn't look into it at all. And I was just like, man, I can't figure out why this cat has like extra arms. Like, oh well.
That cat wearing a weird sweater. Yeah.
I was like, that's fine, whatever.
So Gark crashed his spaceship on Earth, landing in the laundry room of Betty, who's the old woman who owns Max, who's kind of klutzy. It seems like she's sort of just not the butt of jokes, but she's like, I don't know, not paying attention to what the cats are doing in the episodes. And she's Max's owner. So Gark believes that actually Max is a tiger, the bravest species on Earth, despite Max's actual cowardice. And the two often find themselves in surreal and dangerous situations due to Gark's unstable, bizarre powers, which Max often uses to his own advantage without thinking of the consequences. So what we've got here is we've got Max, the character who is pretty much a coward, but also is quick to act without thinking about what's going to happen. He just does it, and that provides a lot of fodder, I'm sure, for the show to go into weird directions. And then he's partnered up with Gark, this alien pretending to be a cat, who thinks Max is super confident, but also has all these powers being an alien, but doesn't really know how to control them. It's a perfect storm for just a weird adventure that these guys could go on. Yeah, see, I read this before I watched the show, so I knew that he was an alien. It's really funny to hear your perspective that you're like, I didn't really understand what that guy was doing.
Yeah, I was just like, how does, like, I was like, does he have like 4 arms, or are they like just part of his, like, his jacket? Like, I was just like, all right, whatever. And I'm fine with it, but it's weird.
And it makes a lot of sense now when you look at it, because even his design just looks like he's in a knit thing, but it's so funny that he's got 2 extra tentacles, and Max doesn't question it at all.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. So if you guys want to follow along, the episodes are over on Hulu, so if you do have a subscription, currently, as of this airing of the show, you can watch episodes over there. We decided to do Season 1, Episode 2, entitled Where Do All the Cat Toys Go? These episodes are all of the 12-minute variety, so usually they'd probably be 2 in a block, but so they're really quick, and it's a lot of fun just going on these quick adventures with these guys. So episode 2, Where Do All the Cat Toys Go? There's a great start to this episode where Max and Gark are playing in the living room, and Betty's asleep on the couch, and Max's way of playing with Gark is almost like the big brother, where he kind of lets you watch him play instead of letting you play. They're playing with a toy who he named Charles Anthony. He said all good cat toys have 2 first names.
I guess I didn't know that.
Yeah, see, we wouldn't.
I didn't.
And Gark wouldn't know it either because he's not really a cat.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. If that is a joke at all, I don't know, or if it's just for this show.
I really hope that you took away from this that you need to name all your cat's toys now with like. I wonder, could I convince my dog? You know, we have names for like, oh, where's your bone? Where's your, I call Ropey, like this rope toy. I just made up a name for it. But I should start saying like, oh, where's Robert Bob?
I guess. Or you could just like keep it simple and be like, well, where's Mr. Rope?
Yep, yeah, exactly.
Where's Sir Bones?
the mean thing I do, though, is I say, where's your hedgie? For a hedgehog that she ripped up 2 months ago. It's not here anymore. It's gone.
Okay.
But she looked for it, so... Gotcha. But there is a great scene here where Max, at one point, when Gark is asking, how can I play? Max says, Charles Anthony's my favorite toy, but you can look on with super interest and like cuteness and awe. Yeah, that's right. There's a great clip I'll throw in here for you guys where he just keeps the awe going. The awe train has left the station, and he's the only passenger on it.
He's mine, and he's special.
But I want to play.
Let's come up with a compromise. I'll play with Charles Anthony, and you can watch with awe and wonder on your face.
That sounds fair. How's this?
That's getting kind of distracting.
Please, can I play with Charles Anthony?
Okay, but only as a tea.
Oh, wow! A tea? I've always wanted to be a tea. What's a tea?
And there's some great stuff about them playing, and very quickly, Max loses Charles Anthony the toy, which is like a little, it looks like wooden. I don't know if it's quite wooden, but it's a mouse with wheels that a cat would push around and it would, roll around. Very quickly gets out of hand, and the toy goes under the couch, and Max can't grab it in time, and he loses it. He starts crying because once toys go under the couch, they never come back.
They're gone.
It's very much humans in the socks in the dryer kind of thing, right? Like,
Right, yeah.
Which I'm sure has been a cartoon before.
Yeah, but Gark is kind of like, well, it's just under the couch, man.
Yeah.
Get it.
They do lift up the couch, and Gark is like, oh, I see. There's a vortex to another dimension under here. That's why you can't. That's why you lose all your toys. So he
It was like, what? Okay.
he's not shocked by it at all. But of course, Max thinking like, sure, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Let's go for it. So they go into this dimension to see where his toy went, only to find that it's this giant, spacey, kind of trippy area with all the cat toys that have ever been lost by seemingly every cat in every dimension of the universe.
Right, yeah.
And they have to answer to, once they fall into here, they can't quite find their toys. All the toys can also talk, which is weird. They get greeted by a toy who keeps trying to play with them, basically, and they don't want anything to do with this toy. I kind of felt bad for this little tetherball thing. And they mentioned to him that they have to answer to, I don't quite remember the title they gave it, but it was like King of all cat toys or something. And they show this giant mural of this really beefy looking cat. He's got a huge puffed up chest, and he's got 6-pack abs. But he's holding Charles Anthony in this poster. Like, they literally made this propaganda poster in the last couple of minutes.
Right, but we find out time works way different in the vortex. So that every year is about 2 minutes.
Yeah, or something very fast for sure. So they decide, well, I still don't really want any of these toys. I'm just going to go up to that guy's house, which is the only house in the entire dimension, basically. I'm going to go to the king of all cat toys, and I'm just going to go ahead and get my Charles Anthony back, because there's no way I can't have that toy.
Right.
Once they get there, I love the shot of them comparing the poster of him to the actual king of all cat toys, who has really let himself go.
Yeah, like, you don't look like this.
But it's a pretty typical thing, right? It's like once you're at the top, you don't have to work anymore, and you get overweight, or you like let yourself go because you're like, I got everything I ever wanted. So too did this cosmic cat.
Charles Anthony! Wow, you have really let yourself go since they painted those posters.
Who dares approach the majestic almighty cat? Squeak! Go away, you! All these toys are mine, and you can't play with them!
But Charles Anthony is mine!
Hi, Max. Great to see you, too. You can't have him now, because I've gonna mark him with my royal spit. Now be gone!
But Charles Anthony belongs to me!
I didn't realize at first, by the way, that this cat is from a different dimension. He's not an Earth cat.
No,
And that's made more apparent later, but when you look at his design, he's obviously much bigger than a cat like Max, who's a normal house cat. But he's got like a scepter, a magic scepter thing. He's got a floating diamond above his head. There's just like markings that make him a little bit alien, a little bit foreign to actual house cats. So he won't give up the toy. He's decided, this is mine now. I'm the king of all cat toys. I'm going to put my royal spit on it. And I think he even does, but Max still doesn't care. He basically jumps up and grabs it from him and licks it. And it's like, this is mine now, which makes sense. That's what cats do.
Yeah, even though the other cat licked it, and it's already been claimed, but at the same time, it was like, oh, okay. But the big cat's kind of pissed.
Yeah. I think even the big cat, Max says something incredibly rude to him. I can't quite remember what it was, but the big cat is now like so distraught over this that he cries to his parents. And now suddenly, since Max did that, all the toys are like, how could we follow such a weak leader? Max, you're the official king of all cat toys now. But man, Max doesn't even get to be leader for like that long. He plays with all kinds of toys, but he doesn't really care. He now knows what it's like.
Well, and he doesn't and he doesn't let Gark play with anything. He's like, nope, I'm the leader. I have all these toys. You can't play with anything still.
You can have the weird meatball over there, like the weird spaghetti thing.
Yeah.
And then because Gark at one point speaks up to his displeasure with Max, they have to battle, apparently. And Max says, "Don't worry, I won't hurt you, but like they got to see that we battle." And in their battle, clumsy Max here throws up his scepter, being king of all cat toys, shreds a hole in a space-time continuum or opens a portal to different dimensions, and cats just pour. They flood down into this this cat toy world, right?
Right.
And it's just crazy. I can't ever imagine having this many cats from all kinds of different dimensions, all ripping up and playing with different toys that are all everywhere.
It's not fair. Even Charles Anthony gets his own toys. All I get is this manky thing. No offense, Robert Bob.
Sire, the non-cat toy god cat thing touched your toy.
How dare you?
Fire upon thee!
Right. I've had it. You are big and bad and mean, and you are a terrible cat toy god.
Is everybody ready for a fight to the death?
Don't worry, Gark. I won't hurt you. A minute ago, I had all the cat toys in the universe. And now I've only got Charles Anthony.
And then we meet the old king of all cats, the cat toys, the big cat that went away earlier. We meet his parents, who come and scold Max for making their son cry. Like, our son came all the way home and he cried. I love that the mom is the disciplinary one and the dad's like, well, I mean, you know, it's just not that bad.
It's not the worst thing, but
He's also the handyman, right? Because he uses an actual stapler to staple back like the portal so that it doesn't let any more cats in. That's how you take care of those things. And at some point they were going to have some sort of punishment. They were going to fight some like dragon beast in some other dimension or something like that. But the dad convinces the mom to go early and says, look, these two little, Max and Gark here, that's a little much. Maybe cleaning up all the poop and pee from the mess from all these cats that came into this world is enough of a punishment.
yeah, that's probably good enough. So they're like, okay, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But they say like, Max, you have to do it because you caused this whole thing.
But Gark, being the best friend that he is like, no, I'm staying with Max. I'm going to help him clean up all this poop, which is a ton. And this is where we learn, once they get spit back out of this dimension into the house, this is where we learn what you said, where time acts differently in there than it does in the real world.
Yeah, it was like 3 years. They're like, oh my God, we were gone for so long. Yeah. And he's like, oh, Gark's like, yeah, it was 8 minutes.
Yep.
It's like, what? Okay.
But I can't tell, when they get out, are they supposed to be just really tired and dirty, or are they like older?
I think they're older. Okay. It's 3 years. That's like what? It's not 7 because cat years and dog years aren't the same, but like equivalent to like almost 30 cat years.
I also love their old cat designs. Is like Max is super just lumpy and old, but Gark just has a Fu Manchu. Like that's really the only difference.
Right. Yeah.
Eventually, I think Charles Anthony does come out from underneath, so they do get underneath the couch, so they do get his toy back. And don't they lose it again while playing?
Yeah, it quickly just falls back under there.
And I think we're led to believe that they actually jump back in and go. We don't get that adventure, but I think we're led to believe that they were just going to go back anyway.
Yeah.
Whatever. So such a weird show. But it's definitely got some great moments to it. So this was season 1, episode 2. Where do all the cat toys go of the series Counterfeit Cat? Again, guys, if you have a Netflix or a Hulu subscription right now, as of this airing, you can watch them over on there. I think the whole season's over there. So, Brad, you're the one who this was recommended to, and you brought it to the table here. What do you think now that you've seen a few episodes?
I like it. I will be guaranteed watching more of this.
Yeah.
I watched this episode where they were telling the story of the time when they became the biggest singing group in the world. And then, Max got mad with power and, wouldn't let Gark do anything, and it wasn't just about friends having fun. It was all about the money and the fame.
Yeah, that's awesome. It seems like most episodes are going to go with that formula of like Max doing something without thinking, and even though it might be the wrong thing, Gark just goes along with it.
Yeah.
You know, the ever there best friend, the ever like behind you. Yeah, man.
Basically, yeah.
It's a great show. It is. I do believe the characters had British accents, or at least Max did. So that takes nothing away from it. It was just something I guess I wasn't used to. As we talked about earlier, cartoons from different countries and stuff. Obviously, we don't get that here in America very often. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But man, the show just has this like really light feel to it that it doesn't need. It's like one of the first shows recently that I felt like I didn't need a big story arc as to what was going on. I kind of was just okay with whatever weird adventures these two, well, one cat and alien cat go on. It was a lot of fun. There's also like a cool visual language to the show. I don't know if you noticed, but every time there was like smoke or like a whip transition, they always used these like squishy ovals or like these squishy extended rounded squares that were kind of interesting.
I didn't catch that.
And you know, where we have sometimes projects where we work on and you know, you build a visual language for things so that things look the same. They just had a really neat look to it that kind of, it didn't look like a video game, but it just had this geometric shape to it that the rest of the show didn't have, so it kind of stuck out, but I liked it. I don't know what it was. It was a interesting design choice, but there's a great shot of, I think, when they first fall into the world of, what's it called? The cat toys. There's like some smoke that comes up, and it's got that shape to it. Those shapes,
cool.
I mostly noticed them in the intro because there's all the fast moving like intro pieces and stuff, but just a weird little art thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to keep an eye on that when I watch more of it. But I like the look of the characters. They're kind of funny, neat designs.
Yeah, everything feels like they've made them somehow look fluffy at the same time as like squishy and like bouncy for some reason.
Yeah.
And of course, we talk about lip sync a lot recently because we've been doing a lot of that. Lip sync is great. It looks awesome, and I wish I could do that well.
Just gotta go to Flash.
Just gotta go to Flash. I gotta learn Flash now. I was trying to learn 3D. There's too much software, man. Pick one. Cool. Well, that's going to do it for this week. We both, I think, loved Counterfeit Cat. It's a show we definitely want to check out more episodes of because it's just got a great look, and it's a fun show. So definitely check it out if you guys have Hulu or, well, you know, check it out. I'm not going to tell you how you can and can't watch it, but that's the easiest way. Let's get out of here this week. Brad, where can people find out more about you when you're not recording Toon Talk Weekly?
So you can follow me on Twitter. It's @brad, and my blog is digitalhitchhiker.com.
Great. Guys, go check them out over there. You guys can follow me on Twitter @JacobWilliams. Of course, the show, you want more Toon Talk Weekly. We're on Twitter @Toon Talk Weekly. We're at Facebook.com/Toon Talk Weekly. We're over on Google Plus as well @Toon Talk Weekly. You mentioned Daily Tech News Show earlier. They had a live show recently where they mentioned, yeah, we're one of the 6 people over there too. So, hey, DTNS, we're the other show that's over there on Google+. So, our email, guys, if you want to let us know what your favorite episode of Counterfeit Cat was, or if you have any more background on the show, or maybe just want to let us know what cartoons you'd love to hear us talk about, toontalkweekly@gmail.com is the place to send those. And, of course, the website, toontalkweekly.com, the main hub for the show. You can find all of the cartoons we've done on the homepage, on the sidebar there, all alphabetical for you guys so you can quickly get to stuff. I know it's helped me when I have to reference to other people like what shows we've covered and what we haven't.
Yeah.
We were talking about Bucky O'Hare earlier, and you were like, I think I've heard of that game. And I'm like, no, it's a cartoon we did like 100 and something episodes ago.
I totally forgot, yeah.
But I found it really quick, toontalkweekly.com. So that's going to do it for this week's show. Being that it's July 4th, I'm going to use that as my crutch that I didn't pick a cartoon, getting caught up in the weekend festivities. But we'll have another cartoon for you guys next week, as we always do for 200 and whatever this is, 8 straight weeks.
Whoa. Whoa.
Woo. Whoa. But no, actually, we're actually under a couch in a different world, and it's actually only been 7 minutes of podcasting. It hasn't been almost anything. But that's going to do it for this week's episode of Toon Talk Weekly. Guys and gals, thank you for joining us once again this week. We'll be back next week with another cartoon.
You take care.
To learn more about the show, visit toontalkweekly.com or follow us on Twitter @ToonTalkWeekly.